Welcome back, everybody, to the Gears Pro League Split 2, Phase 1, Day 2. I'm Taylor Reflections Noble, joined by Jacob MVPR. We've already had two great series, one short, one a bit longer, but still two great series featuring four wonderful teams. Now we're about to showcase two more teams, and that's Fire and Ice and Rise. Now, without question, Jacob, Fire and Ice kind of been slowing down a little bit. Preseason, they were looking great. But as of recently, they're starting to be a little bit more sluggish, whereas Rise was struggling preseason, but now they're starting to heat up. This series could go to Rise, but will F&I show a little bit more what they had in preseason?
As long as you guys all know, we play this little game called Caster Predictions and a little story down memory lane. There was one team that kind of took my predictions, crumbled them up, turn it sideways, and throw it right into the trash all season long. And that team was Rise. I predicted them in numerous matchups to come out on top, but they didn't respect me or my opinions. I don't know if it was Ribs, Affinity, Franchise, or anybody else on the team, but I don't know what to expect from this Rise squad. I think you kind of hit it perfect. That Fire and Ice was playing a little bit hot, then cold, but this Rise squad, this is one of those squads where you expect great things. Look at who's on the roster: Rushiez, Franchise, Avexys, Ices, all championship caliber players. All of them have championships under their belt, I do believe, except for Avexys, and they're hungry as can be. It's just, I'm not convinced. I haven't seen it just yet. They still not only have to prove it to me, the Gears Esports world, but I do believe they have to prove it to themselves as well.
I think they do as well. Again, they have a lot to prove. Granted, the major went well for them. The last major, Winter Major, but they still have a lot to prove during the Pro League itself. For Fire and Ice, though, I like this roster. Toti, Xploidz, Dyslexic, and Fearzly. Dyslexic had a phenomenal split one. Really showcasing his skills over there with the Carnage roster, and now he joins in with F&I. Kind of reminds me of Krabby's when Krabby's was, Fire and Ice took a chance on Krabby's back then, and he played very, very well. My only worry is the fact that will Dyslexic be able to keep the same energy up that he had in Split 1 here over in Split 2? Because let's not forget, he slowed down quite a bit. But, of course, Dyslexic isn't the only one. Xploidz, Toti, and Fearzly are there. And who do we really have to highlight from this roster?
One particular person, on the top of my head, I want to go ahead and say Dyslexic, just because that's kind of who we've been saying. Toti has done wonders for multiple rosters that he's been on, but you can't just pick one person. Every single player on this roster has proven when their back's up against the wall, whether if it's the full team as a one individual, they can shine. They can rise up to the occasion and clutch up.
Well, we've been talking a lot about Dyslexic, right? And then, of course, on the opposite end, you have Rushiez. And these are going to be our two players to kind of match up. And the stats are fairly even, right? I mean, obviously, we see a little bit more total kills when it comes to Dyslexic. And, the stat lines are a little bit different here and there. But for the most part, these guys are pretty neck and neck, Jacob.
They definitely are, and I know there's that joke going around that they almost look like brothers there right down the center, but that's honestly going to be the tale of the tape. Rushiez, in my opinion, has to perform in order for Rise to see success. I said it last split, even they had that 5v5 with Inzam on the roster. Rushiez cannot have a subpar performance. He's a huge slaying powerhouse for the roster. He's been a huge slaying powerhouse for a lot of these rosters. You hear my bird, he agrees with me right down to the very last moment. So I'm looking at Rushiez, and he's going to, like I said, have to perform. Dyslexic has a bit of backup in the slaying category. Multiple members can go off at a moment's notice. Even though Rushiez does have Avexys, he does have Icy. When it comes down to the Rise strategy, it does revolve around Rushiez getting a high number of kills.
It's funny. That stat line 1.8 is very impressive. Like, again, Tidy was one of the early front runners when our first series, and we talked about his stat line at 1.5. And I see a 1.8 or so for that of Dyslexic, but it's like, I feel that's kind of low. You watch him play, and with how well he pops. Yeah, I mean, you would think he would be above a 2 point whatever, right? You take your pick, but the stats don't lie. They don't lie, and I think that comes to show you that. And for people who may not know, if you don't really follow Fire and Ice or you haven't watched him in the preseason, Dyslexic can be hot and cold. He can pop off one map, the very next map, all of a sudden he's subpar, right? If he can consistently perform like he does in certain maps where he's just popping off, he could be a big opponent to go against. But again, those inconsistencies, maybe it's, him being a little bit younger, maybe he's got some growing to do, but for the most part, that inconsistency is what really is going to bite him in the butt overall. But let's take a look at our pick and bans. I want to see what maps we're rolling with. And Harbor is going to be the first one. This is a good one, believe it or not. Fire and Ice is known to be a great Harbor team, but so has Rise. So this is going to be a true test, a true battle to start us off.
Yeah, we're going to have a little bit of a chess match on Harbor. I think you said it perfect. Fire and Ice kind of loves this Harbor map. They're able to employ different strategies. It's a map that I look at as a kind of close quarters combat fight, the way it typically plays. But Fire and Ice knows how to do that strategy with a sniper in the middle, which opens it up. The thing is, though, Rise is a team that kind of fuels themselves on that strategy style gameplay. They aren't that in-your-face hive style of team. They're more of a slow and steady win the race. And that's where I almost fear some of these maps going to that close quarters shotgun style fight. Harbor, and then obviously, Vasgar for sure. Rise is going to have to dig deep. It's going to be on the back of Rushiez and even big plays coming out from Icy. But like I said, Rushiez is one of the biggest X factors in this series overall.
For me, it comes down to foundation. I don't see us, with the 2-0. The only way that I do see a 2-0 happening here is if Harbor is one from Fire and Ice, which could be possible, right? But one of the things about Fire and Ice when it does come down to Harbor is there's a strategy they love running, or at least they did during the preseason, and that was a long shot down low. Now, this sounds like typical stuff, but the problem is it puts Xploidz out of the fight, if you will. Now, he could connect. He could be a power player with that long shot, but then again, the rest of his teammates have to pop off as well. And if Xploidz is missing shots, well, that it puts him out of the fight. And that hurts, right? That really hurts. And we've seen that really bite them in the butt. In fact, I think they lost one time 5-0 or 5-1 once a veteran team ended up picking up on it. So something I want to see if they go with or if they go against. But let's talk about our predictions. Let's throw it out there, and I'm going to start it off hot. I'm going with Fire and Ice. And the reason why, Fire and Ice had a beautiful preseason. They've been slowing down without question. And matter of fact, whenever it does come to E-Days, well, Rise has recently beat this very roster. But I think Fire and Ice understands the severity of this matchup. It's Pro League, and they want it more. But who are you going with?
And this was one of my hard matchups to predict. Even kind of talking with Goalie, talking with you, I had like a 30-second, 1-minute window to kind of finalize my decision. I went with Fire and Ice in the beginning, but then I really started to think about Rise, what they've been able to do for me lately. And we all know it's about what have you done for me lately. And Rise has been looking so good. But I can't upset Goalie. I'm not going to switch my vote around. I'm going to go and stick to my guns. Never vote against Murray either. Fire and Ice is going to take this game.
Yeah, you've been saying that all preseason, right? Never vote against Murray, and well, you stayed with F&I. Good on you. Now, I didn't even look over at chat. I don't know what chat is going with. I genuinely don't. If I had to guess, they're going with Fire and Ice being Latin America, but they could go with Rise too. And honestly, either of those are a fair pick. For me, it was easy to go with F&I. I just haven't been impressed by Rise, and until they start to show me something, I'm not going to be heartbroken by them like you were. You have really been holding on to those fingers crossed, man. They're going with F&I. Okay, don't get too excited yet, Jacob. You are tied when it comes to chat. Okay, so both of you guys are down there, but this is fine. A big one. Now, the only reason why I really hope F&I pulls through with this is because me and Blaze are tied. But Blaze went with Rise. Okay, Blaze went with Rise, and that was all. Now you didn't say it, but that was also something that almost influenced your decision to change as well, too. So with that being said, I really hope F&I pulls through. But at the end of the day, I don't care. The better team will make it. And if that's Rise, good on them. I want to see them have a good season, or a good split, I should say, because split one, it just wasn't theirs. They picked it up, but at the beginning, it wasn't there. So heading into Harbor, what do you think? How do you think this is going to go?
I think Rise is ready for that sniper to go down middle. They might have a plan B up their sleeve, but I think they're going to go ahead and play a kind of a standard gameplay. You're going to see those Botox pistols early on down low, but this is a moment either one of these teams can take advantage of. If that Botox is placed down low by one team, whoever has the second pick can instantly put that big weapon towards the top half of the map. Then on the initial, more than likely, both teams will send 4 players over there. That Botox will be neutralized, especially since you get those home hills off of the initial. And that makes it to where you're even right out the gates in terms of weapon placement. Things might switch up towards the second half, but I don't think it will once you put that big drop shot down. And if it is Rise that places that big drop shot down towards the top half of the map, you almost throw out any strategy coming through from Fire and Ice in hopes of putting that sniper down low, because you can't necessarily send those 2 players down low. Of course, Xploidz might continue and force a 1v1, but if they overextend and send 2 players down there, Rise should be waiting for that moment and capitalize almost immediately. I know the mastermind in Franchis is kind of waiting for these moments to strategically outplay his teams.
So, guys, I know that the lobby was about to get started up, but I think it ended up having some issues. So they're figuring that out, and we'll be starting up very shortly. But I do have a lot more to say, and maybe you guys like the podcast style. Either way, we're here for it. You know, for me, though, the long shot has a ton of value. It really does, and especially for Xploidz. And even if the drop shot is placed, I still predict FNI to kind of allocate more resources down low. Let's go back to our first series when Remedy ended up placing a torque bow up top, but then all of a sudden was answered by Elevate, placing a long shot down on tracks. Remedy wanted the long shot over the torque bow. They valued that, right? They valued having the extra number of shots for the long shot. They valued having just that one kill, one shot kill potential, which the torque bow has. But regardless, so they felt more comfortable with the long shot despite their success with the torque bow early on. So for me, though, I think if the long shot is placed down, FNI is still going to prioritize that. I really do. But if I'm FNI, you mentioned Rise, they play that chess match style. That's something that I've always highlighted, specifically before Split 1, the season before Split 1. Rise was always a great team because they would react and adjust to what another team was throwing at them. Now, one thing, though, is their initials. If FNI, and especially with Harbor, right? If FNI can come out the gate swinging, have a phenomenal initial where they wipe out 3 of the members down when they're battling on the winch side, I think FNI might be able to beat Rise before they play that chess match, right? And I think that's the strategy. Shut them down before they can set up.
Yep, and I think that's going to be one of the biggest strengths that really separates these two teams when it comes to that team fight, that shock and style aggression that you kind of give an advantage over to one team or over to the other. It does favor Fire and Ice. So even though we talk about Fire and Ice employing that strategy, opening up the map like Harbor to kind of give up different angles, having that sniper, I don't think that will hurt a team like Rise too much. Like I said, I do think they're going to have a plan up their sleeves ready for when that weapon does get placed down. And if it does happen, a very rare situation where we have a sniper and a big weapon up top, I think that will play into Rise's hands even more. So Fire and Ice have to be very, very careful with their weapon selection, the timing of it, and the strategies in which they execute. They can't wait for these perfect moments, like I always say. These are opportunities to create the perfect moment for your team and succeed on your own footing. I know Blaze kind of says this, shout out to Blaze. If he's going to win or lose a big matchup, it's because he made the play or did not make the play, not because the other team was the one running all over him.
And one of the things about Rise that they've always been great at, and we've always highlighted them for, despite, 4v4 or 5v5, it doesn't matter, is their ability to play for each other. That Lancer Fire is kind of always been their strong suit, right? Playing for each other, getting that chip damage, and more importantly, even if they don't get it down with it, just keeping that pressure up and shutting down those lanes, making you think twice about pushing up ramp, right? If we're playing on Harbor, you can't push up ramp. If the Lancer Fire is going to be peppering you, you're going to get nashered out whenever you get up top. And that's something Rise has always done really well on. Fire and Ice, on the other hand, at the preseason, they were doing great with it. But I think everybody else is starting to catch up. And, individual play style, I think everyone on FNI are great. But if Rise gets set up again, if FNI, off the initial, if they allow Rise to get set up, it's just going to be so hard to break the defense of Rise. So FNI, they got their hands full. Again, they're my favorite to take this match, but it can go either which way. Let's get into it. The winch fight, it's about to go down.
Up top, we got 3v3 down low. Fearzly versus Rushiez. Typically, in my own history, I'm used to seeing Rushiez towards the top half of the map. We did try it down low on Ghost with him going down low, but he ended up going up top. He's too much of a big play-making potential, but you see, it's going to be Rise starting off hot. They're getting that first blood all ready to come through, and that's going to be a big opportunity for them.
Absolutely is going to be huge, right? Rise at this point in time, not holding back any punches. Player 2, no man's land. He can't go anywhere. 37 seconds. Very well done from Rise. Now, I talked about FNI off the initials. Well, it seems as if I kind of had it backwards. Rise is great off the initials. Nobody able to secure a kill for FNI. So back to the drawing board they go, but they do come in with that C spawn. Let's see if it makes a difference.
This is where I talk about that Bolt Talk pistol go down. That's one of the most common weapon placements on this map. You can be able to shoot from down low to up top. One single bullet can really change the tide of things, but this is where FNI has that opportunity. Already hovering over matching it, but like I said, it's now or never if you want to switch things up and make sure you neutralize that weapon advantage. Because they're selecting that Boltok down low, you're kind of giving up that opportunity to keep things dead even. So whoever places that big weapon towards up top will be one step behind if this one continues. But we already know what we're looking for out of a team like Fire and Ice and Rise. It's all about strategy. It's all about mind games.
It absolutely is. And you know what? If Rise takes this next round, we very well could be seeing that long shot Dyslexic, though, that's a critical kill on Avexys. Now he's going to be able to have a different angle to maybe angle on Icy, but I guess not even needed. And again, that C spawn is so pivotal. This big 1v1 between Rushiez and Fearzly. Fearzly is going for it, and Rushiez will drop the Lancer Fire from Dyslexic is there, and now Rise battling to try and get their own spawn. The Lancer Fire from down low is going to help. That's going to be Dyslexic, and well, I will say Rise is making a break for it. Avexys is there. Toti being forced back. Rise, you're alive.
It started with Xploidz there. He goes in while Toti goes out. 2 different pages against a team like Rise. That will definitely cost you in the end, especially when we're in the early stages of this match. It's not a huge lead for Fire and Ice so far, about 40 points and counting, but you see 2 members of Rise wasting no time trying to maneuver down low. They realize it's going to be a split push opportunity. Dyslexic is going to be the target for Rise. He immediately backs out of that position. The decap is going to ensue, so it's going to be up to F&I to put a stop here to what Rise is doing.
And they're going to have to do this carefully. Now, Fran, he's in a bad position, caught out. He'll be taken down. So, well done from F&I, using their numbers well. And yeah, Rushiez is gone. Dyslexic takes him out. So, F&I regains control just as soon as they lost it. Rise now, that chess match, as we mentioned before, how are they going to play the next piece? It might be for the OE. But Icy really can't do anything from this positioning. In player 7 of Avexys, he's kind of in a defensive mode. So it comes down to who's that? Rushiez and Fran, who have to get the break on B, which it seems as they're easily doing. Player 5 Fearzly can't do anything about it.
All that's happening. F&I realizes their win condition, realizing the mismatch towards the top side of the map, but it was a player getting taken out. I do believe that might have been Dyslexic falling, giving that positioning right back on over to Rise, and there's already somebody on the home hill. What looked like a massive round for Fire and Ice completely slipped out from under him, and what I thought, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, it's my fault. Rise has showed up here to play.
Oh, that is tough, man. F&I did everything right except close it out. We did lose one F&I member, so we'll have to wait for that. But man, for Rise to win that, that's a big win. You know, and again, I go back to what you said, now constantly bring it back up. It's that chess match, Jacob. It's that chess match. And when you're led by a man such as Franchis, right? The veteran who he's been there, he's done that. He's won championships already in Gears 5 with Reciprocity. And back, matter of fact, 3 of them was won championships with this roster. You know, there's just a lot of talent, okay? And not to mention, too, you got Avexys, who's a vocal leader himself. You just have a lot of call-outs and a lot of players or a lot of people on your team who can pull audibles and just call out numbers and just formulate a plan, right? So that chess match is important. The marks up top for Dyslexic, I don't know. That's weird.
To me, that says they don't want that up top fight. They don't want to be fighting for a drop shot up there. They don't want to be fighting for anything. They're just going to want to make sure that they keep this map as spread open as possible. So I do think we're going to see something big go down center line eventually, depending on how these next couple of rounds do go. But that's going to be one of the questions that I go ahead and ask on over to Fire and Ice as we try to get their player back inside is how good is their composure? We've seen them steamroll teams. We've seen them come out strong and go even with teams, but how big is their comeback potential? And I go ahead and lean on you for that answer because you kind of have a lot of stats under your belt that you kind of keep secret from all of us.
I keep secret, please. You know, I mean, the thing of the matter is like any team that's getting beat down. By the way, Fearzly, it looks like he just got back in, so hopefully we'll be regaining soon. These guys, they don't like to stand still. And for Avexys, he's got a long jog all the way to the other end of the map. But, you know, F&I think they're an emotional team. It comes down to the IGL to really just keep them in check. I think for Dyslexic, I go back to when I believe it was Dyslexic who was like filling in for Pittsburgh Knights like a while ago, right? This was like 5v5 for E-Days, and he was impressed by their professionalism and their ability to stay calm despite losing or being down. And he respected that and he fed off of that. And I think that's going to be very critical for a younger player such as him. If, you know, the younger the player, the more a good IGL and a senior leader with, you know, veteranship is important because you have to keep them calm and keep their head clear or else, you know, nerves can really get to them. So that's a big factor. For F&I, though, it seems as if they're coming back with the vengeance. Avexys, though, fighting for his life, forced to roll away. Dyslexic, though, coming around the flank, gets the kill onto Fran, and wow, what a start for F&I. It should be on all hills here, but 5 hasn't moved in just yet. Rushiez is about to have some company.
Rushiez doing exactly what he has to here. He knows his team lost the up top fight. He can't just give this one up for free. Unfortunately, Toti maneuvering, getting in position, taking him out, leaving him to kill himself there as they set up towards the top half of the map. And this is where I go ahead and say this could have easily been 1-1 Rise stealing that second round away. So good job for Fire and Ice, not letting them one get in their heads. I question their composure. And I know it's only been a few seconds in this round. So far, it is looking strong as Rise. They need to push up towards up top, but Icy gets caught out of position. He gets taken out early. That's a huge Mark's opportunity as he tries to find a cave or at least an alleyway of safety to get revived by Avexys. He's pushed up top, and I almost forget how strong that Marksa actually is, but Xploidz putting it away. Why, man? Why?
It's so tough, and Dyslexic falls too. Not like this, boys. You're looking like round number 2. Well, round 3 ended the same way. Well, again, it comes down to that 1v1. Rushiez against Fearzly, and well, Rushiez will win this time. And now Fire and Ice, they're in a bad position. Rise might be getting a domination, and Jacob, they just got it.
They don't want to win. They don't. I hate saying this. You kind of said it before. Fire and Ice for these past 2 rounds have been leading, slaying. They were winning up until literally just the moment they flatlined and lost, almost like the GameStop stock not too long ago, just falling right down into the red. And that's exactly what's happening in Fire and Ice. Just they're in it until it just falls flat. They need to either figure out a way to slowly lose the game so they stay in it, give themselves opportunity to come back, or just simply play better and not choke away these victories. You're biting off more than you can chew in certain situations, overstaying your welcome, as you saw a very terrible switch to the shotgun there as he ran out of ammo with the Marks. It didn't even roll back to reunite with his teammates. So their decisions are being affected here as they begin to lose composure as they trail the Rise 3-0.
Yeah, I'm very disappointed in Fire and Ice. I really am. Because, again, preseason, they were playing lights out, and I don't know why they've slowed down so much. But see how this works out. Look, Fran, timing it perfectly, getting onto Xploidz, taking him down. Long shots back. Oh, my gosh. He did not slow down. And that's the thing about Fire and Ice with the long shot strategy that I was worried about. It's so easy to counter, and Rise is going to see right through it. Again, I can't overstate this enough. I'm very disappointed with how this match is going. For Rise, though, I'm not at all. Like, I'm very happy. They are playing so well lights out, and they are showing that, hey, this is not going to be like Split 1. This is Split 2, whole different ball game. We're Rise, and we are going to be that championship caliber team that you all expect and love, and they absolutely are playing to that degree. But for Fire and Ice, this is not what I need to see.
So this is almost laughable for Fire and Ice, and that's saying something. I put my predictions on the line in this one. I didn't start off yesterday hot, but I'm 2-0 on the day. Please don't make me wrong here, Fire and Ice. You see Rise already upgrading that to a shock grenade on their side. So no matter what happens here for Fire and Ice in terms of weapon selection, Rise will be 1, possibly 2 rounds ahead of the curve. So not only do they have to come back 5 straight rounds in this one, they're going to have to do it while they trail at a disadvantage in weapons.
Yeah, watch Fran here. He played that initial so well to get in and take over that long shot. He's not going to do it this time. That's going to be now player 7. So that's going to be Avexys kind of playing the role that Fran was just playing a little bit earlier. Xploidz gets to snipe. You know exactly where he's at. Fran goes up top, and he's going to be able to Lancer down. Rushiez will get the trade onto Toti. Long shot is on the ground. Fearzly, though, can't win that fight. And Rushiez has broken through it in much the same way. First, it was Franchis. This time, it was Rushiez, but the same result. F&I could not make it happen. Dyslexic shut down at the 1-yard line. The meat shield's in place. Toti's there. You got to get a touch. Not going to happen. I can't believe it. What was that? Like a couple of minutes? Even with the technical pause? 5-0 F&I, where you at?
I want my money back. I want my money back. I want my prediction back. As you see, Franchise Sport. 1, 2, 3, ding, ding, ding. It's over, folks. It is over. That's right. That's 5-0, bro. This is just not looking good for some of these teams. I don't know if they woke up today, just weren't prepared. I don't know if they had a pre-meal snack. Rise, and Ribs particularly, is honestly a preacher of being able to condition yourself for these styles of matchups, condition yourself for nice eat, sleep, and drink, and focus, and get ready for this moment. And honestly, Fire and Ice has been missing the mark for the past couple of weeks, and I am sure disappointed. I put my predictions on the line. You guys are letting me down.
Man, and now I'm upset because Blaze, not only do I owe him $10, but now he's about to take the lead in predictions. predictions. He can't win 2 splits in a row, man. He can if he plays it right, but he's obviously playing it right. I don't know if he knows something or not, but he might have had a side conversation with Ribs and said, look, man, you got to go with us. I know a little bit something. I can't even believe we have replays for this. It's just unbelievable. By the way, Fran, again, man, and I hope we do have that as a replay. The way that Fran countered that long shot, the way that he countered that long shot was just disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. He pushed through the smoke. Here it is. Look at the way he pushes in. He takes down Xploidz, gets the finish. He's red, doesn't even matter. Takes down Toti, and now he's on the home hill of F&I. And then Rushiez did the same thing in the next round, and he's on your screen. This was the end result. Hits the final bull talk on a Toti. That's GG. 5-0, one of the quickest rounds, or quickest maps we've seen tonight.
I know it wasn't on purpose. I'm not trying to get anybody in trouble there, but 4 of the 6 clips was just Toti getting dominated there. He almost had no chance in any of those clips. He was outmatched. So, like I said, I don't know who it is getting these clips right now, but they certainly do not like Toti.
Hey, it is what it is. I mean, look, it could have been the other way around. Toti could have been getting the highlights because he was slaying out. Now you really got to let it go. I mean, hey, we talk about short-term memory. I've been going in the same narrative about Team Queso versus Pittsburgh Knights, man. Team Queso lost 5-0. Fire and Ice loses 5-0. Now you're heading in action to the same exact map that Team Queso lost 5-1 on. And, well, hey, this just, I don't know. Fire and Ice, though, I do think will do better on Vasgar. It's a map that suits their slaying ability much more efficiently.
Yep.
I say that. I was very wrong about the Harbor matchup, but I will say this. You said I had secret stats. I really don't, but I have seen the past plays on Harbor. Fire and Ice has been known to lose Harbor pretty aggressively. I'm talking 5-0, 5-1, but they're able to win the series because maybe Harbor doesn't work out, but, you know, Vasgar and maybe even Foundation, right, they do much better on. So Fire and Ice, despite losing 5-0 in an embarrassing way, I still have confidence that they might be able to turn things around on Vasgar, and I'm still confident that we'll see a game 3.
No, I'm definitely confident that they have the ability to kind of flip the switch, just turn it on at a moment's notice and take map number 2. But I will say, after that first map from Rise, congratulations. You guys are back into the game, man. 100%. I wasn't ready to take that risk on you guys just yet, even though there was a kind of hard matchup for me to predict. But I will say, finally rises back into the split, start off strong. Hopefully they can continue to show great matchups throughout the course of the split and continue to show a great matchup here against Fire and Ice. I do want Fire and Ice to win this match because I do want to see an intense map number 3, possibly go down to the wire, map number 9, but I'm just a huge Gears Esports fanatic. I love to watch these matches, and I love to see the chess match between these two teams.
Well, it wasn't a chess match. It really wasn't.
Well, not in that one. That was checkers, bro.
That was just checkers. It was just a beat down bottom line. One guy was playing and the other one just said, I'm done, and wiped all the chess pieces off the board. Tough loss. It really is, guys. And chat, let us know. F&I, what can they do to capitalize? Again, and this isn't even me just being a caster and trying to build up the hype and build up a storyline. I genuinely think Vasgar is going to be a different story for Fire and Ice. I really do. Again, I've seen them get beat on Harbor before, and then I've seen Fire and Ice turn around the series and come back even stronger. I think this is going to be the case. Rise, though, they're absolutely back. I take nothing away from them. That was a scary Rise that any team should be scared to play against. Fran was back on top. Rushiez is popping off just as we expect. And the plays they were making were truly championship caliber plays. And they made F&I look like clowns in map number 1 on Harbor. But Vasgar will be a little bit different. Hey, it is what it is. Not a lot to break down there other than F&I just strictly lost. Vasgar, hope it's going to be different. Map is loading up. Jacob, come on, man. What do you think? F&I, are you with me? Do you think they can really turn things around in Vasgar? Or do you think it's just all is lost, brother?
I have no choice. I have no choice but to stick with you on this one. My prediction's locked in, but I want to see Fire and Ice take more risk. We've seen what they've been able to do to some of these teams leading up until this point. We talked about they had a little bit of a slow past couple of weeks, but it's not over just yet. You still got 2 more map opportunities to come out on top against Rise. If you are down, you're down hard like you were in map number 1. Put that drop shot down. Put that M bar down. You can't stick to those slow strategies and hoping to catch fire at a moment's notice. You need to start winning those shotgun fights. We know Gears is a very heavily momentum-based game, and if Fire and Ice can easily come into this one, shut Rise down early, and switch that momentum on over toward their side, and hopefully force a map number 3 and keep their hopes alive.
Oh, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. A must-win for the boys of Fire and Ice. That 5-0, you got to let it go. Short-term memory. let's get it underway. We got a bit of a split here, 2v2 for each side of the map, and well, whoever wins it obviously is going to have that 2-1 hill advantage. For 3 and 5, they're going to be up top. That's going to be Rushiez and Avexys working together. On the bottom side, you got Franchis and Icy working together, and of course for Fire and Ice, you got Toti, you got Xploidz, and the Dyslexic and Fearzly on the opposite end. First fight going down, Rushiez going to get chunked. Fearzly takes him down. That's going to isolate Avexys in a 1v2. Great job getting some spacing. Fearzly gets some extra damage, takes him down with Dyslexic from the help from the backside. That's going to be a hill locked in. Now, how will B be fought for the boys of Rise?
Rise don't have to make too many fast moves right here. They have a good positioning. No one's going to be able to overextend due to those respawn timers and that spawn being on Rise side of the map. With reinforcements, they can easily overtake this and begin to start racking up points, because before then, they weren't getting anything going their way. But now 3 members looking like they're trying to push up onto Toti. No hill just yet. This isn't the second half, so they can easily backtrack and get ready to solidify their C hill. Any eliminations here, all the members of Fire and Ice will be directly into their spawn, but there's 2 eliminations. Both Xploidz and Toti get taken out. Avexys on the other side of the map, so it's going to be a trade of hills for now. But like I said, Rise need to be careful. That's the Fire and Ice spawn that they're going to spawn into in just a few short moments.
Well, you see them going through mid-map. Now, we didn't see that too often in 5v5. In 4v4, it's become a much more viable option. And 3 and 2, Fran and Rushiez have decided to get onto the backside now to face the spawn forward for Fire and Ice. Now, they're going to make good on this by taking down Xploidz. He's picked back up, but Rushiez sees the opportunity, and he goes in for the kill. Now, he gets to trade on yet another Fearzly. Nowhere he can go. Pinned out. He's going to be snubbed out, and he is gone. Icy looks at him crawling on all fours, finishes him off. Now, Fire and Ice, though, 70-point lead, but will Rise pull off another Harbor upset and take it in the last moments?
I just hope Dyslexic doesn't make these plays too much. Got a little bit ahead of himself against Rushiez. Caught off guard. Rushiez beginning to heat up in this series. I said he was a player to watch for. Big X factor for Rise. 5-0 shows the whole team is a huge X factor here, as you see the push coming through for Fire and Ice. Win condition over to Cog, though. They got some coming back to do. It needs to be uncontested. So Fire and Ice, they have ample amount of time. 60 seconds in Gears of War is more than enough time to here to try to make some plays. But Rushiez catching Fearzly off guard. Check your corners, buddy.
Absolutely. Now, this is a tough spot for Fire and Ice to be in. Even though they do have that win condition, Rise is still pushing them to the brink where things could get Oh no, Rushiez wins the 1v1. The fight on top is also won by the boys of Rise, and now we're looking at potential domination. Fearzly gets the break onto 1. If he saves this force team, that could be huge, but I believe Rise has shifted to win condition, and yes, they have. Is 1 hill going to be enough? It will not be. So Rise has the win condition. Fire and Ice, you got to get the break on B. Rushiez, can you hold your own? No, you can't, but you really can't expect them to in that 1v3. Fire and Ice might still win this just yet.
You see the overextension towards the top half of the map. There's going to be a 2v2, both Franchis and Avexys going against Fearzly and Xploidz. This is basically for the game right now. Fearzly gets taken out. The break coming through. Avexys with a huge kill. The final nail I thought would have been in the coffin, but they didn't break the neutral hill. I don't know how Rise let that one slip through after great plays to get themselves back into the game, but Fire and Ice hold on, and this is exactly what I said they needed to do. They need to cut off strong. They need to stop the momentum. That 5-0 deficit in map number 1 needs to come to a halt, and they did exactly that. And this is where the next 2 rounds, you have to start beginning to build the momentum. Don't let anything slip through. If you're going to lose a round, figure out a way to lose it convincingly. You can't let those last-second defeats happen anymore.
Yeah, and well done for F&I, to stop the bleeding. I say stop the bleeding. It started off 0-0, but, again, they were down 5-0. Rise wins that. They're up technically 6-0 in the series. Something that, each round after that just starts beating you down and really making you second guess, can we really beat this team? So for Fire and Ice, fresh start, short-term memory. And again, I have seen Fire and Ice lose Harbor dramatically and then come back and be in the saddle. But that's only 1 round. Still, they need to be a little bit more comfortable and win these fights. Rushiez, though, almost gets out of that. He was stunned for a lifetime, and Fire and Ice didn't finish him off, and it took some time. But hey, he's gone. Avexys now using the cover to the best of his abilities, trying to separate himself. 1v2 misroll. That hurts.
That was a huge attempt for Avexys. For a second there, I thought he was going to get away with it. Toti gets left behind by his team, but triple cap domination sounding off at the neutral. Another player going down, so does Franchis. And just like that, the Wizard Reflection predicts it. He said Vasgar is not going to be the same old song and dance for Fire and Ice. And boy, did you hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, I mean, again, man, Harbor's just one of those weird maps for them. But Vasgar is pretty consistent for F&I. Don't want to get too carried away just yet, but it is a 2-0 lead so far. And Rise, they're going to have to figure something out pretty quickly before things get out of hand, right? Even a 3-0 deficit starts to hurt. You're much better off getting it to a 2-1. Retros are there. It's going to be hugely beneficial. But for the side of Rise, they actually don't want the Retro. They want to start building up for the Talon. So Boltox and Talons versus the Retro. I would actually tip my hat over to the side of F&I once again. The Retro is going to hit a lot harder.
It all depends on what Rise strategy is behind having both of these weapons here, because the Talon and the Boltok, you're able to take two different styles of fights at the same time. The Boltok can help a fight from across the match. It's a very hard-hitting weapon. It just depends what happens, where this Retro plays, how is Fearzly utilizing it.
Rushiez will take down Dyslexic off the start. That's a heavy hitter that you definitely want to get rid of. For Fearzly, ooh, he tries to pace that well,
right,
but Avexys did a great job isolating and taking him down. Now the hill is going to be broken. Rise looking at a potential domination. You got to get a touch. Come on, player 7 tries to break through 4, can't do it. Get the roll. Not going to happen. That's an answer Rise needed. 37 seconds. Quickest round yet.
I don't even know how much Fearzly even got to use the Retro in that round. On the other hand, you saw Boltox being fired away. I believe you might have saw some Talon play mixed in there just a little bit. Rise answering back. 2 quick defeats followed by a nice victory. And you see now they're going to go and upgrade that Talon pistol. And the reason why they're upgrading it is because of that height advantage. It's for multiple reasons. In the first half, you're going to be able to shoot down on the neutral hill. But on the second half, that turns into your home hill spot. What's better than a weapon directly onto your home hill?
100%, man. That helps
Besides ice cream.
a bit. Ice cream is very good. Ice cream is very good. I would actually say that is probably one of the best plays you could make at any point in time in your life. Throw some ice cream on the map. Retro in the hands of player 4. It's going to be Icy. He's going to have that to his own devices. On the other side, Fearzly will have his own. This battle didn't go well last time for the boys of F&I, but they're on a different side, so maybe it's going to be a little bit better. After all, having a 3-1 lead going into the second half, it's not as good as obviously 4-0, but it's still a good lead to make you feel that much more comfortable. Fierce is going to be up top of baby steps. He's going to have an opportunity to use that Retro to the best of his abilities. Eventually, he's going to have to reload, so forced to back up, but Rice doesn't take the chance to move in. There's the utility. Fearzly said, it's time. Let me get some distance between us.
Players are firing ice, maneuvering back and forth, trying to figure out where it's going to come through. Rush on the other side of things. 2 different 2v2 battles going down. Rushiez gets down 2 different times. On this side of things, Avexys go down as well. There goes a down coming through. There goes a double kill from Icy as they secure the A hill. While all that was going down, Taylor, there was a double trade on the C hill as well. Nobody left alive from Fire and Ice to try to secure that one.
So it looks at this point, right? You're going to hear the dongs momentarily, but player 7 is going to get onto A, and Fire and Ice is still going to maintain a little bit of a lead. We might actually keep that lead as Rise, they will have the 2-1 hill advantage momentarily, but B is already going to be decapped. Now this is going to be a big battle of attrition for Bravo. You got Bravo underway 3v2. On the other end, though, you're going to have a 2v2 as it looks like Fearzly is going to rotate back. I thought it was going to be Toti isolated out, but Dyslexic needs to get this big pickup here on tank. That's going to better the odds here and get them closer to securing Bravo. Utility's out. This is his chance, but takes too much damage, and he was too slow. I don't know why Dyslexic was so slow in trying to take him out, but hey, it is what it is. He took his time, maybe nerves, I don't know. But Rise, they've got the 2-1 hill advantage.
You see Franchis maneuvering through the middle of the map, going to go ahead and backtrack, make sure his team has the numbers necessary. This is going to be a 3v2 for Rise as they look to not only secure the defense on their home hill, but get these eliminations. But Toti, being as sneaky as can be, slips around, catches Avexys, Rushiez goes down. 4 players rotated over, make that 3 as Fire and Ice secure that hill. They have a little bit of coming back to do, but Icy's opportunity is now. He spots a mismatch, gets some early damage, but gets out of position. The players of Fire and Ice having their heads on a swivel, and it's Toti making the play to backtrack. He has team play in mind, and that's one of the things he specializes at.
Toti played that so well. The fact that he was able to come around that corner, typically players would take that fight head on, right? He finds an opportunity in just a couple, like just a hair of a second, finds the way to isolate himself from behind of one of the players from Rise, gets to kill, and then he's able to get the cleanups after the Lancer Fire was there peppering him in. Fire and Ice, they've got the lead, the win condition, and 10 seconds separates them from a 3-1 lead heading into the second half. And as player 9 is going to be on that hill up top on C, it should be all she wrote, and in fact, it will be. Bravo, the fight is won. Fearzly took down player 4 of Icy, and that's going to be a 3-1 lead. But Fire and Ice that much closer to sending us to a game 3.
And finally, we have have ourselves a match here, even though Rise not doing too good, like you said, 3-1. But after that big beatdown in map number 1, Fire and Ice have switched things up. Like I said, those quick fights, that shoddy aggressive fights is going to be the key from Fire and Ice. A map like Vasgar plays into exactly that almost the entire way through without a weapon being even placed on the map. So you can only imagine what goes down once one of these teams are brave enough to go ahead and force that fight to go down. But until then, we're going to see that Retro get upgraded on one side of the map. It's going to be matched on the other. Ensigns for everyone, and that's going to be a big thing to watch out for. Sometimes we might see 3 players rotate over. With those Ensigns, we might have 1 player be able to kind of stretch around, play a little bit more flex than what he used to.
See that tank fight? It will be huge. And that instant could be monumental. And already Jacob laughing. And we'll see what Toti's up to. Ooh, Rushiez, or Franchis, excuse me. He's going up. He's wanting this fight, getting that early poke, but quickly backing up. Toti finds an opportunity to get the finish. Now, hits a nice spread onto Avexys, but not going to capitalize. Xploidz now, knowing Avexys might be weak, goes in for the kill, but not going to be so successful yet. Avexys, great job being elusive, getting away, and from the flank is Icy, and a great bait and switch from the boys of Icy and Rushiez. Well done to isolate and pinch those F&I boys, and that is going to put them in a great spot to take the 2-1 hill advantage.
Yeah, silver lining of all that is Fearzly was able to win that exchange against Rushiez, keeping his team in the game, not only able to capture, but keep his team from gaining points. They're going to have the lead here early on. Avexys and Icy find themselves in a tough spot, 3v2. Both players are going to go down, so the hill's going to go over to Fire and Ice. They're going to have to keep 2 hills in their control, but Rise is going to waste no time knowing that they have to neutralize that second hill. They have to capture, get it under their belt. They trail 11 points. They have some players off of respawn, so they have to be careful as Fire and Ice. These rotations for both of these teams, they're just so quick. They realize timing is of the essence. You waste a second, it might look like a mile.
And this right here is the swing round. Rise knows and respects that. They need to take this moment and make it theirs. It's going to start with this fight onto D. It's going to be a 2v2. You do have that 2v2 on F as well, though. So, bit of an interesting fight. I will give or tip my hat to F&I, though, for Fearzly and Xploidz. They do have the upper hand with that high ground, but Rushiez looking to break it. Not going to be so successful. Fran is there, though. Try and get some trades. Shut down. Now, this 2v2 for F is going to be huge. 4 and 5 need to be very careful here. If they get finished off, which they might, this could be a domination shortly, and it could be very quickly so.
Yep. You see, they're going toward that neutral. Rushiez faking like he was going over. Doesn't want to push into the 1v3. Franchis goes by himself. He gets taken down. Rushiez meets that same fate, and there goes that triple cap domination you were talking about as Fire and Ice move 1 step closer to forcing that map number 3, 4-1 domination. You talk about a flip of the script in this one. The momentum has shifted. What can Rise do in this one? Even if they somehow falter and lose this map, they need to begin to shut down the momentum that F&I is building.
Too much momentum, man. F&I definitely taking this map and making it theirs. Something that, you know, it really doesn't surprise me again. They just play so well on Vasgar. The fast pace of this map really fits their play style. That M-bar now on tank, though, makes things interesting. It's kind of been back and forth on that fight, right? We've seen Rise take the win over there. We've seen the boys of F&I win that fight as well. But without question, that M-bar could change the pace of this round in its entirety and honestly could secure a pretty early lead. For 7, though, he gets right in. That's Toti, and you swear you'd be looking at Rushiez, who's usually getting the quick pick, but he tries and he's shut down. Toti gets away.
Toti needs to stay alive here. They have that hill on the other side of the map, so it's not going to be game over just yet once they get this capture. So it's all about giving your team enough time to respawn, figuring out where the numbers are at, and start to pick people off. Toti drops that M-bar as well. Who's going to be the lucky number 8? And that's going to be Xploidz. And this is a smart play by Toti. Uh-oh. Well, okay, I got a little ahead of myself. I was ready for that one.
He saw that head, too. He wanted it. He said, really? You're just going to sit there and give me a free kill? Now, he's a bit wise to the situation. Now, cross-map, though, that'll make things fun, but Xploidz has been known to do so, and he's going to go for it, charges it up, but says, you know what, let me just wait a second. He knows and respects and understands how important this M-bar is, and every shot counts. Fran, though, getting bodied 2 times in a row, by the way. And that's impressive because it was cross map. And that just comes to show you how much control he has, whether it be with a long shot or an M-bar.
Dyslexic had the biggest smile on his face as he ran down those steps, but Avexys just waiting, catches him slipping. I always said, check your corners. Avexys and the rest of Rise. Last-ditch effort, trying to save their round. They get in just in time, but 2 Heels going over to Fire and Ice. They're not only going to come back, they're going to get the lead, and with another big elimination from Xploidz, they're going to be able to rack up these points. So Rise, they have to get this information. They have to get ready for a push sooner rather than later, and they have to dodge this M-bar. If they get themselves continuously picked off, they're going to lose this round and lose the map.
This is getting tough. Tricky situation for F&I. You're already up 4-1, and you have the point lead.
Nice kill.
Every kill they get in this moment is going to be huge. And for Dyslexic, he is trying to make that moment his, but shut down. But he did get one before, so that will lessen the odds. But even so, player 8 forced to back up. Of course, Xploidz, he's going to be all right, though. Connecting onto one. That's just a body shot, though. Fearzly, he's going to go in for the cleanup. Fran forced to back up, but they can't get the break onto F just yet. Rise doing a great job playing defense, but Fran's Lancer, will it hit true? Well, from the side, Dyslexic gets the cleanup, trades out, but that trade was big. The break on F was there, but now Rise retakes control. But is it too late? Not so much. I think Rise will have the win condition, and they will.
And you also see the flank coming through from Rushiez. Catching Toti out. Retro or no retro, you're going to get taken out. Fire and Ice finally getting their own home hill back, but it comes too late into the game. Rise once again with 2 hills, slowly but surely coming back. They're going to have to make a big play, but Avexys' turn to go off with his N-bar. Nails the first shot, letting Rushiez clean that one up. Last-ditch effort coming through from Fire and Ice. They have to play perfect, but they have to figure out a way to get through Avexys. And even though you haven't seen it so far in this matchup, he is a sharpshooter or master of the M-bar.
Yeah, it just makes it that much harder, especially when you know your back is against the wall, and now you got to get all hills broken. It's just not going to happen. Rise will take this round, and well done for them to hold on and slowly chip away and take control. Now the question is, Dyslexic, if he would have picked up a couple of more of eliminations, I know he was getting trades here or there, but if he picked up 2, could that have changed the pace of this round? Well, we can't really live on what ifs. We can only see what exactly happened, and well, Rise gets that much closer to maybe coming back, but still, it's a big mountain to climb, and not to forget too, we still have the disables to get through.
Yeah, to me, if I had to pinpoint one moment in that round, it was when I think it was Xploidz just picking off players along with his team. Dyslexic on the other side of the map, they got the kill as well. 4 players about to sandwich the home hill. Dyslexic just head downs, gets caught off guard by Avexys, and that completely turned the tides for the remainder of that round. You saw Rise be able to stay in it, but now you see it. Retros, Insins, N-bar up for grabs. I don't even know if the lock has been placed, but if I'm Fire and Ice, I don't want to let this one get out of reach just yet.
No, I can't get out of reach, man. I mean, you cannot allow Rise to get back into the saddle. Look, again, they're a team that loves to play chess, and maybe they're starting to see through the facade of Fire and Ice, and, well, that could mean danger. Rushiez, hey, he sees Toti right for the picking. Hey, I understand why Toti was so convinced about the players down low on baby stats, but from the flank, you always got to keep your head on a swivel. So well played from Rise to take control, and Fire and Ice might be getting a little bit disheveled here. They got to start focusing up. You cannot allow Rise to get back in it.
Yeah, this is definitely scaring me on the side of Fire and Ice. They don't look as healthy, don't look as lively as they shown in the beginning half of this game. You can't begin to lose momentum now when you were just now building it. Taking it away from Rise. Toti gets taken down by Avexys. I do believe it was M-bar shot. Fearzly doing what he can. He's able to get one. No reinforcements just yet. That was Avexys from across the map with the M-bar. Great help. Great awareness. And this is where Fearzly, he's just waiting for his teammates to come off a respawn. Rush is doing a good job of wasting all this precious time. Finally, he's going to be able to get the elimination to come through. They're finally going to be able to get that hill under their control, but they still have to come back down 30 points, down a team member as well. But they are set up on that side of map, though, so when that M-bar does make its next appearance, they'll be in prime position for it if they can hold on.
Oh, man, that's... well, actually, pretty good news. I thought that trade was bad, but player 8, that's Xploidz, was able to get the pickup on Fearzly, who knocked Franchis down, so that was able to push them forward to get onto F. So they'll have that 2-to-1 hill advantage still. About a 50-point deficit, but after all, if it does continue to play out this way, we will see Swarm with that win condition. So let's just see if they can hold on to this lead. But a lot of moving pieces. You still have Avexys with 4 shots to the M-bar, and that's a great body shot on Xploidz, but he better be thanking his lucky stars that he's still alive. A little bit higher, that could have been a headshot.
You need to watch this number 3 and number 2, both Rushiez and Franchis. They could try and take advantage of Fearzly. They're waiting for that perfect moment to try, but it's Fearzly pushing up. Gets him to waste a bit of utility. Franchise takes a nice quick shot. Reinforcements coming through as each team, each duo gets closer together. A well-placed flash, or at least a late flash, not well-placed. Toti win that exchange on the other side of the map. 2 hills once again transferring over to Fire late in the round. Fearzly doing a good job of repositioning himself with the Lancer, and Xploidz just nailing that double kill along with that teamwork. So late in the game, it does look like Fire putting that final nail in the coffin here and forcing a third and final map, barring any huge miracles coming out from Avexys and the rest of Rise.
This is, I mean, seriously, I'll put all my money right now. This round is over. F&I is just looking solid. That trade hurts. Either way, Dyslexic does get the kill onto Fran, and there's the instant. Rushiez is on fire. He knows he's weak, and the player just on the other side doesn't even take that fight. You can see them. They're now getting ready for map number 3. And look, again, I'm no wizard, man, but I'm telling you, Fire and Ice has been known to lose Harbor only to win the series because they're better on the other 2 maps. So well done taking their map pick here on Vasgar. That keeps things a little bit interesting, but the real battle is to come. Will they be able to clear their head and keep this momentum up? Because Foundation is map 3, and it is still anybody's series. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll see how this series ends. Welcome back to the Gears Pro League Split 2 Phase 1, Day 2. I'm Taylor Reflections Noble, joined by Jacob MVPR. We're going to Game 3, guys. And look, F&I, they fought tooth and nail. They look solid again. Vasgar is a map that fits their play style, hence why it was in the rotation and also their map pick. But we'll say this, man. Rise had a couple of great moments and really good plays, but they're just a slower paced team. And Vasgar, Rise is, look, in their own right is a great Vasgar team, but they are a little bit slower of a team, so it makes sense that F&I, being as fast-paced style as they are, was able to, kind of outpace the Rise boys. But heading into Foundation, though, it really is a toss-up as to who takes this victory, because much like Harbor, it kind of is more of a chess match where you're kind of more warranted, Jacob, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're kind of more warranted on setups as opposed to just the quick-paced style that Vasgar is.
Yeah, unless there's some big weapon down that's forcing a lot of action on one side of the map to where you might lose track of players. This is a map that where you can get a lot of information just by kind of peeking out in front of you. Whether you're from ramp to ramp, you can kind of see if they're going down low or going across towards the up top. And so it really comes down to rotations, where you're positioned at as a team. Yes, you could open up to a lot of Lancer play, a lot of teamwork, but it also could come down to those quick shotty fights, especially on those initials, and especially if that big weapon gets placed down. On a map like Foundation, so far, I haven't seen anybody really take it into their own control, have the confidence to put that big weapon down. They play it sort of standard, but I would like to see it turn into a Gears 4S style matchup if one team is losing convincingly. And already seen map number 1 and map number 2. It's kind of dominated once by Rise, once by Fire and Ice. So only time will tell what we see here, but I'm kind of rooting for Fire and Ice simply because of my predictions. I don't need a repeat of last split.
But this is the thing, man. Rise, they've got veteranship. They know Foundation like the back of their hand. A little bit different in Gears 5, obviously, than before. Yep. But the point is, they know Foundation, so they're going to be well-versed in the setups. Now, my question is it really comes down to Dyslexic. How well is Dyslexic going to be able to be guided on this map, right? How well is he going to do when the fights aren't as up close and personal, right? That's where he kind of, really thrives, if you will. So I'm going to weigh really heavily on him. And I'm curious if Rise is going to fight that mid battle that we sometimes see on this very map, or if they're going to play the long game, kind of hang back and Lancer out, which is something I think is going to benefit them more. But I have seen Rise lose Foundation as of recently. I wouldn't say it's necessarily the weakest map, but weakest map actually is Exhibit. That hands down 100%. They have looked very weak on Exhibit. But Foundation, they're kind of hot and cold, if you will. But I can't really remember if Fire and Ice is strong on Foundation either. So this is truly a toss-up.
Yeah, no, I don't really recall. I'm not sure how deep both of their strategies go, But if Rise in the second half is able to take control of both of these home hills, I would kind of think they would have the better setup as a full Lancer pistol cross setup on both of those double home hills. But
Sure.
if they do, I do think it's going to work out for them because of Fire and Ice's playstyle. That aggressive in your place playstyle, it's going to come down to well-placed utility grenades, whether if it's a smoke or a flash, in order for them to break through. On the other side of things, if Rise don't come out swinging in this one, if they don't come out hot against a Fire and Ice squad, and Dyslexic is able to heat up and to give him the shoddy fights that he wants, this is going to look like a dangerous match that you don't want to be a part of. So you guys talking about Dyslexic being an X factor on one side, you got Rushiez being an X factor on the other. But I do think this is going to be a little bit more of a chess match than what we've been seeing so far, instead of just an all-out war.
If I'm Rise, my game plan going into round one is to look for F&I to come out overly aggressive. Specifically, I'm looking at streets. I'm looking at that overextension. I absolutely think F&I is going to come out the gates straight past statue, just trying to get the double home hill setup. They'll probably fight for Bravo. They'll probably think about that neutral, but for the most part, given their style, I think they're immediately going for the OE, home hill to home hill. If I'm Rise, I'm looking at a way to counter that so I can set myself up for my next push. Because after all, let's say F&I does commit 3 players, maybe even 2 players, and you take them out pretty easily with the Lancer fire on streets, because that's a long jaunt over there, especially if you don't utilize the statue push. You can find yourself at a quick disadvantage for those teammates to kind of rotate down, go into B, or even worse, be on home hill to home hill. Then the B fight is lost, and all of a sudden you're looking at a quick domination against you. So again, Rise, be on the lookout for that overextension. That's where I think F&I is going to make their first move.
Yep, and I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity for both of these teams to throw those trick strats into the mix, especially towards the second half, where you can run down middle, fake like you're going to have a brawl, and pivot towards statue, but instead you pivot towards that closed side of the map, pivot towards both of the home mills, where typically you might see 2 players staring at each other in a staring contest, waiting for their team to make the moves. That's where you can catch people off guard. You can overpower it while the remaining 3 members try to make that play over towards statue. So a lot of opportunity, a lot of strategy. Foundation is one of the maps that we can see spread out gameplay. We can see close quarters gameplay. It's just a matter of what each team puts down when it's their choice to put a weapon.
Rise going to take that early attempt to take over the neutral. On the other side, though, actually F&I just going straight through mid, pressuring up the Rushiez, and there's that overextension in place. Now, they didn't go through streets. They went straight through mid, so something I wasn't even expecting. But again, Rise playing that chess match. They're aware of what's taking place, and they immediately head over towards A. So they're going to keep the 2-to-1 hill advantage, and of course, it is so tough to maintain the enemy home hill. Dyslexic, he's going to give it a good go, and actually it's a great kill onto Rushiez. And if he can pick up this 2, that's going to be massive. I see the clutches up despite the great movement from Dyslexic, and it looks like F&I, though, they're going to win some other key fights. I see last up. Oh, get that touch. The Mr. Crab's almost there, but F&I will regain the 2-to-1 hill advantage. So pretty chaotic start. It kind of went the way I was expecting, but Rise, because they played it well, they've got a 40-point lead.
That gives them enough time here to get back into this one slowly but surely. But Rushiez, a little bit of a misroll, gets a little bit ahead of himself, taking out a trade and downs, a trade and revives coming through. A second flash from Toti, and F&I once again are looking for this elimination. But instead, they find themselves forced to retreat as Xploidz does get taken down. Toti doing what he can to try and force those players toward him. Triple cap domination sounding off for a moment, but that's going to be Avexys realizing he has to backtrack. He has to get the decap. He has to keep his team in this game. Rushiez finds himself taken out. They're going to stagger his death. Toti meets the same fate, though. Dyslexic falls. So looking nice from Fire Nice to get back into this one. Rise completely turns the tables back on over to their side.
Now they're going to have the 2-to-1 hill advantage again, but they're also going to be down about 6 or so points. They'll be able to close that out easily. Oh, no, hit that shot, Xploidz. If you're going to try to be sneaky
he hopped over.
You got to capitalize. He still might make out positive, though. Oh, no, he missed the shot at Avexys. Xploidz, you're wild.
Wow, those are like 7 different situations in one of can't happen. Now Dyslexic, the pressure is on. You need to make up for your teammates' mistakes. Toti coming down. He's trying to back you up. There goes one. It's finally working out for you. About a 20-point deficit to overcome, so you're still within a stone's throw's reach, but the Tills are being decapped all over. 2 going in favor of Fire Nice. Xploidz trying to make up for that blunder. He comes out on top. The hill will be captured late into this game. This is Fire Nice's opportunity, and it will get shut down for Rise as Toti lands himself another elimination.
Whew, I can't believe F&I is still in the driver's seat after that. Now they're going to even be going for the domination, and player 8's going to be at the forefront. Fearzly should drop here. Xploidz might be able to get the pickup. He actually runs away. Look, at this point in time, F&I knows the 2-to-1 hill advantage is all we need. I don't need to overcommit. No reason to lose my life here. Let's let Rise push up into us. Toti's going to waste as much time as he possibly can. Now, the neutral will be broken here. C will actually be back in Rise's control, and with them capturing B, they still have the point lead. Rise just won the round.
Very late in the game, they find a way to do it again, and honestly, that's almost better than winning about 250 to 120. You stole that round away from Fire and Ice when they were beginning to build that momentum. Now you kind of pegged them right back down to square one, deflated as can be, second guessing a lot of their choices. So now you're going to get to choose first how you want this map to play, and like we've seen in Foundations early on, that Boltok pistol getting placed early onto the first half home hills.
I hate to pin it on one guy, but I'm pinning that round loss on Xploidz. I really am. Like,
yeah,
he should have
100%.
hit that first shot. If he would have also, he had 2 opportunities to get 2 clean kills, and he whiffed both shots. If Xploidz hits those shots, that round is over with, because now you got Rise coming off the respawn. Now, granted, F&I took control right after that, so there was still another fight, but that fight also didn't even have to happen if Xploidz hit his shot. So tough break, man. You gotta, the shaky shots, they gotta go away as you're playing against Rise, and they're gonna capitalize on those big mistakes. But it looks like much the same thing. F&I, they're utilizing this mid push.
They need to be careful here. They're getting funneled. Rise saw that one coming. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Rise see that one coming from a mile away, immediately shut it down, leaving these players to second guess their decisions. Triple cap domination sounding off in just a short moment. You got a marathon run to get towards that home hill. I don't think Toti's going to touch it, and neither does he, as Rise cruise to a 2-0 start to start off map number 3, and that's how you begin to shift the momentum heavily on over to your side. Like I said in the last round prior, Fire and Ice second guessing their decisions, and man, that's a way to make them second guess even more.
All right, so now this is getting down to a point where it's like, now I'm getting worried, and I reflect back to Harbor, where I've seen F&I time in and time out, you know, just battle for that long shot, and they just continually ram their head into a brick wall, trying the same thing over and over and over again, only to be shut down time in and time out, but they continue to do the same thing. It's almost a definition of insanity. It really is a definition of insanity. Fire and Ice now in 2 rounds in a row have hit up mid. It worked the first round, it doesn't work the second round because Rise is seeing right through it. Do not do the mid push again. Rise is going to shut you down.
Yep. See a 2-2 split coming out from Rise, a 1-3-1 for Fire and Ice. So you're gonna have a player back up for Rise. That's gonna be Avexys. You're gonna have to keep his head on swivel, figure out where everything's coming from. Talk about a late second push. Fearzly doing all he can, but well played smokes coming out from Rise. There goes that push you were talking about. Is Rise gonna be ready for it again? They're 1-1 so far on that strategy. Rushiez almost caught out of position, gets down by Toti, not able to get cleaned up. It's actually, yes, they did clean up the kill. Avexys falls as well. Great plays by F&I. You gotta think Rise are like, maybe they won't try it again. They're not gonna try it again, right?
I stand no. I mean, Rise was there to try and kill him, but they just, bottom line, F&I just kind of won their battles. I stand corrected. I am man enough to admit when I am wrong. Maybe they just rammed their head into the brick wall enough times, they just break through, like the Kool-Aid man coming through the wall. Oh yeah, and that's what F&I did, and it worked. Well done.
That's me when I'm losing a game of Valorant, pushing B long all game long. It's like, they won't think I'll do this again, right? And that's exactly what Fire and Ice did. And Rises, they won't do this again, right? So they planned a strategy for a split, and that's a great plays to take advantage, because with that 1-3-1 split, Avexys had to back up out of middle. He was not able to help his teammate. I do believe that might have been Rushiez down there to go ahead and continue to hold defensively. The great plays by Fire and Ice to catch him off guard, and I'm gonna go ahead and ask it. They won't do that again, right?
At this point, they probably are. I mean, why not? And now it's like, Rise is like, they won't do it again, will they? Like, they won't hit out mid, will they? It's worked, but it has, I don't know. It's just weird. But hey, that's what makes F&I.
Oh, they're going to do it again.
Kind of one of those deadly teams. You just never know what they're going to do. And even if you do know what they're going to do, it's like, do they do it again? Well, here we go. Dyslexic pushing up mid. He's giving it a good go. Throws out that stun, but he looks like he's going to be shut down. So Rise, they're a little bit ahead of the game at this point. You got 2 players down in mid. Player 4 is going to try and go for the pickup, but he's going to be met by Icy. And now Icy is going to Push up onto Fearzly.
Oh,
Gets out onto one, doesn't get the second, and now Rise is in a good position to get a domination.
Toti's gonna need to think of something here, but two players looking in front of him. Great headshot by Rushiez, but what can you do now? You're hoping your other team gets the break. Dyslexic gonna have to go big, gets the touch, gets the reset, almost getting that elimination on Iceman, but he gets the down. There it comes through. This round is going to continue, and that's gonna be 2 quick kills from Fire and Ice. They're gonna stagger that death, the timing between Icy spawning up and Avexys. That's gonna allow them a window to extend where they go home hill to home hill or towards this neutral like you see, but Franchis, he's been able to not only stop the player from getting a break, but get the down as well, but hopefully he doesn't fight off more than he can chew here. He has backup towards his backside. That is exactly why he's pushed on towards that use. Rise doing a good job defensively of holding down these hills, but it's going to be up to Rise still to get a break on one of the 2 home hills.
Okay. 90 to 142. Rise looking to take over their home hill 3v2. It's going to be tough for Toti to hold it down with his teammate. They're going to back up and now focus, hopefully, on rotating in to get onto Bravo, which, by the way, looks as if now we're going to be at a 2v2 split. So, again, same thing. Depending on how this goes, we could be seeing a domination, but 5 and 2 do back off. Now the focal point is going to be here on the neutral. Dyslexic is really giving us a good go. He is pushing Rise back to the brink, but shut down. Hey, sometimes you can have the best intentions. You can be as aggressive as you want, but it's just not going to work out. And now Fran versus Toti. Rise, they've got a decent-sized lead, and it's only getting better.
And Toti just caught out of position. Franchise, mastermind, one of the smartest players, smartest IGLs in Gears Esports. Seen that one coming from a mile away. Avexys taking out Fearzly. Late into this one, Rise leads 2-1. Lead heavily in the scoreline as well. If I look at the minimap, nobody in position of Fire and Ice able to break one, let alone 2 hills. So it was a 2-1 scoreline. Now going to go to 3-1 in favor of Rise. And now we have the swing round coming up. And I ask you, when it comes to weapon placement, when it comes to overall strategy, Taylor, how does Fire and Ice begin to bounce back?
You know, honestly, placing something down low in that mid fight might not be a bad idea. That fight, like if Rise actually meets them and they don't, let's say they don't stay back and Lancer out, Rise is probably going to get outgunned, believe it or not. So maybe placing something not necessarily at statue, but down there in mid, I think that could be the play. But are they going to prioritize a shock? They're going to for sure place something mid-line, and it looks like statue is going to be it. There's the long shot. Again, now you're going to be prioritizing the fight at one focal area. And for Rise, they might be at a disadvantage here, but my question is, do they pick up the shock off the rip? That could be huge for helping lock in the long shot, and it looks like they're going to. It's going to be Fran who's going to be grabbing it, but does he assist that statue fight? I don't think he will, but he's just going to go ahead and challenge on a player 4. So let's see how the statue fight goes.
I think Rise wins overall weapon placement for this round. You see Rushiez trying to take a page out of the F&I playbook, running through the middle, but they catch him slip. Oh, what the heck? He just like gets down, ready to go right onto those steps and get eliminated, as it's going to take his team much longer to travel to get him. Rushiez gets taken out. Neutral going over towards Fire and Ice along with the sniper as well. But that shock grenade placement is really going to help Rise when it comes towards that home mill. If Franchise gets overwhelmed on that side of the map, doesn't look like that is going to be the case, but 2 hills, like I said, over to Fire and Ice, it's going to be up to them to how they continue to hold on to these 2 and even give themselves a bigger advantage.
So Fire and Ice, you're in control. Now, don't get too greedy. There's no reason to continue to push up. Allow Rise to push out. Punish them, right? Punish them whenever they think they're making the right call. But seems as if they are wanting to end it now. And Icy, any kill he gets here is going to be hugely beneficial. Now, he's going to drop. Player 4 is going to be at the forefront for F&I. Can't push up just yet, though. He knows he's going to be in a 1v2. It's most likely going to be a losing situation. Rise is going to try and break out here. Maybe go for the overextension. I expect Rushiez to not double back. I expect them to push through fiercely. But now you got Dyslexic on a flank. I think this is over.
That's the definition of feeling yourself right there. You get a headshot like that, and you have the audacity to just try and up-A the next sniper shot. And granted, we would have been going wild. We would have gone insane. Mics would have been broken. Things would have been tossed around if you would have hit that shot. But Dyslexic had confidence at an all-time high, and that's exactly what you need right there coming from one of your star players. Yes, you might trail 3-2 in rounds, but you have the confidence. You're building that momentum and slowly trying to get yourselves back into this one. You see the upgrade to that bolt talk over towards the hammerburst. I got to expect an instant grenade of sorts, maybe a shot grenade to go over on that side of the map eventually for Fire and Ice. Almost something similar, though, for Rise as they upgrade towards that retro.
Retro versus Hammerburst. Both hit super, super hard, right? So let's see which one ends up ahead. After all, though, the amount of bullets that you get with the hammer could, in fact, be very handy. Looks like Fearzly's going to pick up the Retro. No one goes for the... No one actually picked up the Hammerburst, surprisingly enough. They want to prioritize getting advanced position. Oh, a messy fight. Xploidz, come on. No. He falls
ugly.
again. Icy. Good movement. Both of them right there had no reason to take each other out, but it was just about who's going to get that first shot.
I like what Rise is doing, leaving these players down. They got 3 eliminations, and all 3 of those players they left down to rethink about their decisions to stagger the deaths. Fearzly is going to be a huge anchor for his squad. He has a player weak, but he has players towards his backside as well. Franchis biting off more than he can chew. Fearzly almost killing himself in that shock grenade. He didn't get that elimination yet. Franchis does. There's players getting taken out left and right. Xploidz there to save the day. That could have easily went sideways, but Fearzly holding on to this one as they press forward for both of these hills at the same time.
And Icy's about to get pinched. So unfortunate, but he knows the situation is dire. Goes ahead and backpacks the long shot, gets rid of it. Xploidz is checking just in case. Hey, it's not there anymore. The fact that F&I got out of that situation, though, speaks volumes about them. And hats off to Fearzly for staying up as long as he did and getting that first player down and allowing his team to get back into the fight. Rise was absolutely swarming, no pun intended, onto Fire and Ice's home hill, and that could have been a very bad situation for them. I can't stress enough how important this round is for F&I to bring it 3-3, but more so for Rise. If they win this and lead 4-2, that's going to put them that much closer to taking down F&I. But hey, still a lot more round to be played out. The scoreline is tight, and it's anybody's game.
Look at the damage being put out by Xploidz right now, but Rise not backing down. They want to hold their ground here. Flash grenade towards the backside. Icy takes a full shot. Goes down as well. Franchise on the other side of the map gets taken out. Avexys falls as well. Wow, 3 players of Rise just get Thanos snapped out of existence. Dyslexic all by his lonesome. Rise have the lead. Rushiez has to push forward into this Lancer. He meets the same demise. 4 players dead in the blink of an eye as Fire and Ice cruising to this round victory. 1 step away from tying it up on our tiebreaker map 3-3.
And you might think Dyslexic there, maybe trash talking, running circles around Fran. He's not, right? He's allowing Fran to bleed out and forcing him to end his life, right? By him finishing him off early on, puts him back in the game earlier. So by letting him bleed out, smart strategy. And at this point in time, every second counts. And F&I will, in fact, tie this up 3-3. They went on the brink of losing this, but the heroics of Fearzly, Jacob, he kept F&I in the game, and we're all tied up 3-3.
Talked about early on the composure of F&I. How will they bounce back in after map number 1? They bounced back pretty strong in map number 2, bouncing back in map number 3. Now that it's all tied up here, I go ahead and question Rise. What can you do to bounce back? You've lost some of these rounds, some of them stolen out from under you. Things haven't been going your way as of recent, and you see the weapon selection. I do think it still favors Rise. What do you got to do? And I got to go ahead and ask you, how do you stop the bleeding if you're Rise?
I mean, at this point in time, you just got to play back. You have to look and see what the fact Rise is pushing at you, or excuse me, F&I is pushing at you. I feel like Rise is trying to just go head-to-head with the slaying power of F&I, and you have to for the long shot, right? But that Lancer fire is great, right? Get Dyslexic as weak as you can, but the instant's going to be missed, and Icy will fall, and now Statue is in total control of F&I, and once the flames dissipate, you're going to be good to go to get that long shot. Again, you know, honestly, it's to a point where Rise, it might be better just to slow it down and hang back and not allow F&I to push up, because again, I strongly favor F&I in those close quarter battles, but Dyslexic hits a nasty shot onto Fran, and F&I, they're most likely going to get this nomination.
Oh, through the smoke.
Nice shot.
Dyslexic's not me. Oh my God, Dyslexic wants this win. He wants to take out Rise. I almost think this might be a little bit of a grudge match coming into this season as he looks to nail another crucial body shot to give Fire and Ice the series point 4-3. Rise beginning to crumble before our very eyes. 3 straight rounds, Fire and Ice looking strong.
And you know what changed things? That long shot. Again, focusing the fight, forcing Rise to push in for one solid objective.
Ooh.
And that gives Dyslexic the long. I mean, come on, man. I mean, he is just lights out. Again, sometimes he's hot and cold. There are times he is just not performing well. But plays like this, when the scoreline is 3-3, is not the moment where things need to be cold, right? You need to be all heat and all fire, and that's exactly what we're seeing from this Fire and Ice roster. Now, Icy, want to switch things up a bit. Probably some frags down low. We get an M-bar. But again, though, does that benefit Rise? I don't think it does. Because again, the statue fight is consistently being won by FNI. The mid battle is consistently being won by FNI. They may have just gave them not only a long shot, but an M-bar to use to close this out 5-3.
Thing is, you're gonna have to switch up your strategy, and I love where Rise's head is at. Don't waste your lock right here. If you find yourself winning this round, now you have a lock while the other team does not, as Icy gets first blood, opening up strong for Rise. This is a must-win situation, do or die. Avexys does get taken out, though. Icy has the sniper in his hand, so we're about square, about even. There was a mark on Rushiez there. That's a plentiful amount of information. Yes, I just made up that word. Triple cap domination sounding off. I do believe this round will continue off the back of Toti and one of his teammates, so it's not over just yet. Fearzly gets another one, though. How is Rise letting these players slip through?
Icy needs to hit a shot. He hits the body, but it's not going to be enough. He's full red and dropped. The momentum, the overall power weapons now gone. This is the worst case scenario for Rise. It was the best case, but now it's the worst case. No long shot to their name. Icy's out there, and now you got an M-bar to Xploidz, and we already know he can connect. This is looking bad for the boys of Rise. Now, the only benefit, though, Jake, was the fact that they had that 20-point lead, and they're allocating their numbers 3 strong to go for the OE. That's going to pressure Dyslexic back. Xploidz most likely going to rotate over. He will, but he's going to have to hit these shots, especially when Rise pushes out a tunnel.
Hopefully they get enough damage, so it's about a one-shot kill for each of them. Nice smoke as well. That's going to cloud him, but well-placed shot to come through. Franchise taken out. Avexys down for a moment, getting revived, though. The help not coming through just yet. Toti doing the smart job, though, of backing off for a moment. This is Fire and Ice's side of the map. As soon as that player that get eliminated in Dyslexic spawns right back up, they will have the man advantage. So what will these 2 remaining players of Rise rotate to do? Are they going to attack the neutral? Or are they going to try and rotate to try and defend the hill? Only time will tell, but there's not going to be a lot of time for that decision to be made.
They're going to stick it. Oh, that body shot's going to hurt. Now that player left is going to be weak. That's Icy. He's dropped it. I mean, come on. He was only a Lancer shot away, a pellet away from the Nasher from going down. So FNI will recover, but Franchise, though, sees an opportunity to get onto the neutral hill. Rushiez going to be up there to take down Fearzly. So Rise still in it. They've got the 2-1 hill advantage and the lead. The more they push back FNI at this point, the better their chances are for sending it to a round 9. It's absolutely possible. Rise, you just got to win your fights at this moment.
They're doing a good job so far. Rushiez able to get one. Franchise gets another along with the help, and you got one of the best snipers in the franchise getting that sniper in his name, no pun intended, but he gets it taken out. Okay, luckily he did get saved by his teammate, but Rise trying to hold on to the late portions of this game. Final second push onto the statue. Rushiez goes out. Franchise still dead. Decap coming through. A few seconds onto the home hill, but like you said, it is going to be over. Xploidz not close enough to the hill to get the break in time. So just like I said, a 5,000 IQ weapon selection play was backed up by a round win. You saw it. Fire and Ice locked down the insane grenades from Rise, hoping to put the final nail in the coffin in this round, and Rise didn't answer back with a lock of their own. They placed that M-bar down towards the middle. Now Rise can lock it down of their own, but they locked down the snipe. What?
M-bar, okay. Well, Dyslexic is kind of like, well, look, we got a free shock here. So we'll fight for that M-bar. I mean, what would you really have done, though, on that final pick?
Take off the shot grenade or the instant grenades.
It wouldn't be fun that way, I guess. Well, statue's not going to be as impactful. I really don't think the M-bar was that impactful in terms of the initial. Rise, I don't know. We'll see how this works out. For Xploidz, though, he's going to be able to Lancer out of Avexys. He's going to be in the cut, just trying to kind of chilling, just seeing how that goes out. For player 2, though, Dyslexic, he is going to try and push Icy back. Icy will drop at this moment, so Bravo should go into the hands of FNI off the start. The OE is there, though. Player 4, Fearzly, he's got to hold his own in this 1v2.
Uh-oh, look who just got the M-bar. Look who just got the... Fearzly's holding his own. Xploidz get the sniper. Ryze is living in a nightmare. This is Nightmare on Elm Street at this point, and F&I is looking like Freddy Krueger. Avexys is trying to answer back right now. He has 2 players in front of him, and there he goes. Another player behind him. F&I is just everywhere right now.
But it's all about how Ryze backs out of this. Again, Fearzly at the forefront, 1v2, and he's doing it again. Player 5 is there, but Fearzly handling his business. That's a second 2-piece he's able to secure. Franchis now on top of tunnel. He's going to be stunned, forced to back up, and he's gone. F&I is all over F. Player 9 drops, and F&I will win this series despite losing on Harbor 5-0. Fire and Ice comes back. I'm about to pass out. I need to stop screaming. Jacob, take it over.
¿Dónde está Ryze? ¿Dónde está? You are nowhere to be found as Fire and Ice. 5-4. You said it, 5-0 map number 1. They complete the full-on sweep, and that shows Fire and Ice exactly what it is. 17, 12, and 10. But I'm going to go ahead and say it. I said if Ryze had any chance in this series, it was going to come off the slaying power of Rushiez. He did a good job supporting, but I wouldn't have Rushiez on my team to support. It would be to slay. He came out flat in map number 3. Ryze, Fall, and Fire and Ice are victorious.
You know, I can put the blame on Xploidz for a couple of rounds ago for missing those critical shots. That would have resulted in a round. But now I can give praise to somebody else, right? Fearzly. He was in 2 consecutive 1v2s. Ryze trying to go for that overextension 2 times in a row. Fearzly shut him down 2 times in a row. Now, granted, I'll give credit when credit is due. Hey, shout out to Toti for also being his man right by his side, helping out. Well done, F&I. And look, I'm not saying I'm proud of myself, but why do we have to show that one first and foremost, okay? F&I just got a great victory, and immediately straight into Xploidz, just throwing absolute bricks out there and not even building the house. But with that being said, though, it makes me proud because, you know, again, F&I has shown that they can lose Harbor dramatically, but come back in the series and win the series. It's just one of those weird things about F&I. But look, all that aside, F&I obviously well done for winning the series. We're right in our predictions. But I want to say this, though. This wasn't a weak showing by any means from Ryze. A couple of mistakes. I'm going to let you hammer out those mistakes, right? Because I know you have a lot to say. The long shot being one of them. Why was it banned out in the end? But I actually am impressed by Ryze. This early in the split, last split 1, they were looking terrible. They were looking even bad in the preseason. But the improvements they've made, for me, they look scary. Ryze looks really good. Now, chat's going to hate. That's just what they do. But for me, though, I think this is a W overall for Ryze. They looked really good. And that's not even me trying to play like the nice guy. I genuinely was impressed by Ryze today.
Remember when I said I would have blocked off either the Ensign or the shock grenade? That moment towards the very end, we saw it on the replay, I feel like 100 times there, as Fearzly 1v2'd onto the home hill. It was because of a well-placed shock grenade that Ryze had to run through. Toti backtracked to get that Lancer Fire to help him. If you block off that shock grenade, that's probably an easy 1v2 situation for Ryze, but it was that sniper almost all game long, that Dyslexic, that Xploidz were putting to use as the real thorn in the side of Ryze. And that's where I'm talking about a map 1 like Harbor. You gotta kind of throw it out of the books. Fire and Ice was ready for their open strategies all game long. And honestly, that's kind of why I put them so high on my list.
Man, well done from F&I, seriously. Hats off to them. They remained composed. They didn't let that 5-0 loss on Harbor affect them. They came back even stronger. Great series all around. Genuinely phenomenal series. Couldn't ask for a better game 3 between these two phenomenal teams. Can't wait for the future. I really can. Of course, they only play each other once, so we already know how this one ended up. But it comes to show that come major time, look, when these two teams meet off and face off again, and even in E-Days, right? Because, of course, in E-Days, I'm sure we'll see a rematch between these phenomenal teams. Hey, even tomorrow, we're going to have our E-Days action. But with that being said, though, Ryze still gets a W in my book. They've improved tremendously. This was a team that was beating them down consistently in preseason, but now they were able to go the distance. Not the result they wanted, some things to clean up, but hey, they know what they need to do. They got Friend and Avexys leading the charge. Overall, great series. Congrats to F&I.